I'm Nikki, and we're here with GR Flooring, and we're going over a hardwood board replacement. And here's John, the installer, who actually did it. So if you want to explain to us what you're doing and all of that, that would be perfect.
All right. So now there's two ways to change a board. If you just have one, I prefer to do it with hammer and chisel. Keeps the mess down. It takes a little bit longer. If you're doing a lot of boards, of course, you'll take the saws and cut it out. But
Is there a certain saw you should be using when you do it that way?
no, it doesn't really matter. Now, right there, I just scratched the board. So if you had to drag the couch or something, just to show that it's scratched. So here, we just we chisel along the board about a 1/4 inch away from the edge.
And is it more beneficial to use a mallet over a hammer, or does it really matter?
Doesn't really matter. You can use either. I use the mallet just because that's the tool that I use for hardwood. And you don't have to swing it as hard because it weighs more.
Right.
You just want to make sure you just crack it, break that edge free. You want to, usually you start on whatever side has the groove side, just because it gives you space once you get that pulled out.
If you are going too hard, could you wreck the other boards? Is there like a certain...
It's not really that you can wreck the other boards, it's just there's no benefit to it. You only, like I said, you only need to break through about a 1/4 inch of whatever solid wood.
And you would do this exact same process for an engineered hardwood as well?
Yes. You really want to make sure your chisels are sharp, because if they're not sharp, when you hit it, especially because you're doing it on an angle, it can slide across and then scratch the board beside it.
And then you're replacing more than one board.
Yeah. And now it's just a matter of tearing out the body. And most of the boards will split on an angle, so you just figure out where the angle is going to go, start from that side.
Okay.
And the good part about that is once you get it start going, you can just put your chisel into the crack that is there.
Okay.
So it gives you a starting point. You don't have to worry about sliding. Right there, I just took that piece was loose, so you just cut the center, and that way you can pull out both sides.
Oh, okay. Makes it a little bit easier.
Yeah.
Almost there.
Yeah, and you never want to go right to the edge on that side.
Okay.
So you want to stay away probably about a 1/4 inch again, because that's where you're going to have your nails.
And then you're just screwing up other boards.
Yeah. You just pull the material away from where the nails are so that you can get access to them.
What happens if I were to start making contact with those nails? Is it just going to destroy the other board, or is there anything else that could happen?
Not so much. It's just that you're going to damage your chisel.
Gotcha.
Now, depending on where they are, like where the board is that you're replacing, it can, like if it's closer to a wall, chances are it's just going to be brad nails. And that's not an issue because you can just put your chisel against it and cut them. But like a true hardwood nail, if it's in the middle of the floor,
It'll wreck your tool before you wreck the nail.
yeah, you can still cut them, but you're going to have to do some big work to your chisel once you're done. You see there, I'm pulling towards instead of pushing against because you don't want to force against. You'll end up with little dents on the board that you didn't cut out.
Because even though hardwood is hard, it is a softer product as well.
It's a lot softer than hardened steel anyway.
Yeah.
See there, you just go around, pull the nails.
And is there a certain tool you should be using for pulling the nails that would make it life easier?
I find using actually a set of tile cutters works best because they don't close all the way, so you're a lot less likely to like cut a nail.
What if someone doesn't own a tile cutter?
Any pair of like side cutters that you'll get from a mini tool kit is just fine. Okay. Again, that's the last piece. You just want to make sure you pull it away so you're not risking damage.
Take your
to the
time with
boards.
it.
Yeah. Now, anywhere your nails were, it's going to pull up your subfloor a little bit. So that's, you just want to make sure that's shaved down because that will hold up the new replacement board so it doesn't sit flush.
And then it looks different from the rest of the floor.
Yeah.
Is there a certain way you should be measuring the length of the board here?
It's best, well, I find it's best anyway, just to use the size of the hole, use a knife, and just put a little indent, get it cut to length, because then you know it's going to fit.
Now the extra piece of wood, do you kind of put it in the hole when you're marking it?
Just barely, because you want to have it as flat as possible.
Okay. Now, is there a certain tool that works best for cutting the boards?
Just a regular chop saw. Make sure your blade is clean.
Okay. Like you wouldn't use a handheld saw or anything like that?
I wouldn't, but that's because I own chop saws.
But what if that's all I had?
Yeah, you can use it.
Okay.
If you're going to do that, though, you just want to tape wherever you're cutting so that you're cutting
Straight.
through a tape.
Okay.
Well, not so much that straight, but as you're cutting through it, you want to make sure the tape will hold the top surface from chipping out.
Right.
Now,
It doesn't look all choppy or anything like that.
yeah. Now, the board is cut to size, so you want to take off the bottom part of the groove of the board.
Okay. And why would you be doing that?
Just so you can actually get the board in.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like if this is the board here, you want to make sure you cut off this. Oh, you want to make sure you cut off the groove there,
Right
just so
there.
that when you can tuck the board in, you can still get it down. Otherwise, it's going to connect to the joint.
Now, is there a certain way you should be cutting that? Just so like on a miter saw, obviously, but
Table saw, you can do it with snips and a knife. It doesn't really matter because that's never going to be visible. So
it can look choppy.
yeah. Right there. See, just took off the bottom part of the groove on both boards. Now, because you're putting it in after the fact, it's not going in square or flat with the rest of the boards. So you need to make sure that you need to be able to tap it in somehow without damaging anything around it.
Okay.
But again, this board has been cut, so we sand the edge to give it the bevel so it matches the other
Right, because you
edges.
kind of took away from that.
Yeah.
And you're just obviously using sanding paper.
Yeah, just sandpaper and a block.
Is there a certain type of grit you should be using for?
Whatever you have, really. I generally keep about 120 grit because you don't want to have it too aggressive.
Because then it's just going to take away the finish and the color.
Now there's a marking pen, gives it the stain and the finish kind of in one, just again, so that it matches all the rest of your boards.
Okay.
Double check for fit. Then you want to glue it on the tongue.
And you're just using a regular wood glue?
Yeah.
Now, is there a reason that you just glue it on the tongue?
You don't want to glue it to the floor because then that board will never move, whereas the rest of the floor around it can move. If you glue it to the boards, then it moves with the floor itself.
Okay. Now, if you were to glue it to the subfloor, then when it moves, are you going to get a lot of gapping? Could it break apart from the rest of it?
It's just that board won't move and everything will gap all the way around it instead of gapping evenly.
Okay.
And again, side has the grooves, a little bit of glue. So you slide it into the tongue side on an angle, push it down. Chances are it won't be a perfect fit. So like I said, you have to tap it. Yeah, just tap it in as you're pushing down.
And just very lightly too.
Yeah. And this is where a rubber mallet comes in really handy.
I was just going to ask that question.
Yeah. What you can do if you don't have a rubber mallet is take the piece of that board that you cut off, flip it down so that it's finished, just make sure it's really clean, and then you can just tap against that. Because you don't want to put dents in your board as you're putting the new one in.
Brand new board and has dents in it already.
Yeah. And that's that.
Perfect.
Now you just let that set up, and once it's dry, you should be good.
How long normally does it take for it to dry?
About 20 minutes.
20 minutes. And can you walk on it before it's dry? Or should you just avoid the area?
Avoid the area.
Okay.
If it's somewhere that's not really avoidable, best thing to do is just take some painter's tape around it so you know not to step on that one spot.
Avoid this area.
Yeah.
Perfect. And that was a hardwood board replacement from GR Flooring. If you have any questions, just let us know in the comments. Thank you. Bye.